one thing I decided to do was to chop everything up before I got here, because you guys are all experts at that. So if you could just see the size that I cut, you know, how I cut it, I think that's the important part. Sometimes when I teach classes, I have to start at the very beginning. This is a knife. And it's so interesting because people have such a hard time with the prep, and we've got to get good with our knives, because otherwise it takes forever to prepare a meal. So today we're going to learn how to make ramen stir fry. So this is 6 packages of ramen noodles that I've cooked just barely, and I only put 2 packages of seasoning in it when I cooked it. So 6, and then I just cooked 2 so the noodles would have some flavor, and then I put it in a colander and rinsed it with cold water, put ice cubes in it so that it wouldn't stick together. So shortly I'm going to pan fry it on my griddle, so maybe Susie can keep track of it before I burn it to a crisp.
My soda's in the fridge.
Okay, don't forget your soda in the fridge. Anyway, and then we're going to use this wonderful vegetable, frozen vegetable that you get at Costco. I mean, you can't even do it yourself. It's pretty as these guys. So the problem I'm going to have today is the whole thing's going to thaw out, and then it'll be this giant block of ice when I put it back in the freezer. But it's great for stir frying. So we're going to use the noodles, this, and then some beef, and I'm just going to season it with the packets of your ramen noodles. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, this is my new favorite food. And we used to teach that to our Laurels at Laurel Conference and stuff, and it's so simple, and when they go away to college, they've got something that's fairly nutritious because you've got the veggies and the meat. And you can use any type of, I say, frozen vegetables. If you use fresh vegetables, you want to blanch it first. Okay. Then I'm going to teach, let's see, what order am I going to teach? I get you guys all confused. The first thing I'm going to teach is the green beans, which I have blanched. And then I've also cut some onions and some carrots. Because look how pretty those colors are together, right? And when I blanched it like 1 minute too long for my taste. You guys will probably love it. But I like it to bite back at me. I like it almost raw, but not quite raw. So this is a little too soft for me, so you guys can decide.
So which recipe is that with? Is that with the ramen noodle recipe?
This one is the stir-fried green beans. And who knows? It could be like the chicken and zucchini stir-fried. It could be like that. But instead of using the seasonings that I'm going to show you, I'm going to slice the beef. I'm going to use this Thai red curry paste. And it's going to be a little bit spicy, but I want you to try it because you'll have a whole different experience. And you don't have to use any other seasoning. And if you get it, I bought this gigantic thing at the Himalayan thing over by Goodies, the Smoke and Craft shop or whatever they call it. But if we had any like little saran wrap or anything like that, I don't care if you guys just take a big tablespoon and
Okay, we do have saran wrap. So.
blob it in and take it home if you like it. And you can buy them in smaller containers, but I think the only place I've seen it is at Himalayan, and when I bought it, this was the only size. They have like half this size. Okay?
Where is Goodies?
Across from the university.
By Elmer's. Oh, okay.
By Elmer's.
Yeah, Elmer's. Oh, okay. Idaho Falls too. Chef store.
Oh, they have that at the chef store?
Yep.
Holy cow.
They have the yellow too.
Yep, and massaman, and I mean, green, it's all good. And it tastes really fresh, and you just don't have to make it by yourself, which is really a pain. And then, so we're gonna try a little stir fry with chili paste. And then we're going to have beef, green pepper, and tomato chow yuke. And what I did forget was my beef base, you know, the better than bouillon. But dang it. Because I think that just adds a little depth to it, but I think it'll still be good. You'll still like it. My secret ingredient for a lot of my stir fries is just to take a tablespoon of your better than bouillon and just add that for richness, okay? All right, so I wanted to show you a little bit about, well, to begin with, we're gonna eat everything with white rice because you have to. I have to eat white rice with everything. So I measured this with 2 giant cups that I have in my rice bin, so I have no idea how much rice is really in that measurement. But you measure out your rice, and then you're gonna rinse the rice until the water runs fairly clear. Well, at least twice, because you're washing away all the starch particles and all the vitamin B enrichment that they've added to it. So make sure you get your vitamin B elsewhere. But you can see how it's white. That's the starch. And this is the trick to not having it so sticky and icky when you eat it. Hi, Penny.
Hi.
Hi, Penny.
And the video's going, and I'm rinsing my rice. I'm rinsing in ashes because I'm at the sink. Just remembered.
The little thing works.
Yeah, it does, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so to measure your rice, you do the rinsing so your water's more clear. It's not perfectly clear, and I don't think it needs to be. Then I'm gonna put my finger on top of the rice until it comes just past my first knuckle. So it's like the water displacement method, so no matter how big your pan is, how much rice you have, when you stick your finger there, it's just the right amount of liquid for the rice in your particular pan.
And it works.
And it does work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So barely above your first knuckle.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
And then if you just open a bag of rice and you find that, see, right there. If you just opened your bag of rice and made it this method, and the rice is still dry, it's because your rice has been on the shelf for a long time, so it's drier than usual. Just add a little more water.
You're using long grain, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
it's working right.
Just
Using it.
barely.
Oh, no, I know. But look, how much longer your finger is. Well, about the same. So what if they have really long?
And this is I think it's a Pampered Chef. You don't want to buy the Pampered Chef one because this is like $35. And you can buy other brands or go to Walmart's and they sell it. The thing that's cool about this as a rice cooker is, see this right here? It goes on there and it has this little seal on it so that when the rice starts boiling and bubbling over, that catches the water and then it comes back down into the thing so it doesn't go all over your oven. I mean your microwave.
That's a microwave.
So this one's a microwave cooker, but it's the same principle if you use, I showed you how to cook rice in a pan before where you just bring it to a rolling boil and you just stand there and stir it until the water comes down and you've got the volcano bubbles. Then you turn it off and put the lid on and it'll absorb the rest of the water. Okay, so we're gonna put this in the microwave for 15 minutes on high. Thank you, Dana.
Yes.
All right. By the way, this is my sister-in-law, Jean Johnson. She is my husband's oldest brother's wife, and today's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
And she decided to come here for her birthday.
Oh,
How crazy is that? She's from Logan.
looks like a good time.
Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start pan frying the noodles. And this makes it so that it's like going to a Chinese restaurant and getting the Cantonese chow mein instead of the dried up cracker things that you put with your, you get this nice noodly stuff. So, and it works with spaghetti or anything that you cook,
I've never cooked.
but six packages of ramen noodles is what, probably a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And it's got all the flavoring that you need.
So you can do it on the griddle.
So I put it on the griddle, I preheated the griddle,
Ooh, it's burning.
but not knowing how hot this griddle is, looks pretty hot, I am going to
Move it over.
no, I'm just gonna get the oil around.
It's not level.
Yeah. There's nothing that's level.
Imagine that.
There's nothing level, nothing's level in my house either. So I'm just gonna put it, and I broke the noodles into fours so that it wouldn't be, mostly when you go to eat it. Nobody knows how to get it out when all the noodles are all long and beautiful. See, and I think your cast iron skillet or any of those things work really good because it holds the heat so well, it doesn't cool off and it's just brown
So
real
you
nice.
just want me to keep turning them?
No,
Okay, just tell me toasty.
so we're gonna let it sit here for about 5 minutes and then we're gonna turn it over completely and griddle the other side. And if you wanna see what it looks like, you're welcome to camera.
Mary.
Yeah,
These are already.
yeah. So let me take this little thing and show what it looks like since it'll be on YouTube here. Because I've just taken the noodles and spread it out on my cast iron, griddle with oil, and then before Susie turns it over, she is going to put oil on the top of the noodles and then flip it over.
Okay, how crispy do you want it? Golden brown or medium brown or not black?
Not black, golden brown.
Okay.
See, I'm making her, she was nice to me on my text yesterday, so now I made her work.
Lesson for you guys.
Yeah, don't talk to me before, you'll have to work. Okay, so while that's happening, I'm gonna show you just a little knife work. You gotta show off just a hair, right? So this is a Chinese knife. It's a lighter knife than this one that I bought in Myanmar. This one, I'm gonna pass around, but please don't drop it because it will likely injure you. This is a meat cleaver. This is one that I would use to cut my bones if I'm gonna make spare ribs, steamed spare ribs with black bean sauce, I'm gonna use this one because I can just go wham and it goes right through the bones. But you don't wanna use your,
You want to brown it out?
oh, that looks pretty good. And then after a while, you can just turn it off and leave it on there.
Okay, got it. Well, I don't want that
All
brown.
right. So, a Chinese knife is thin and it's a broad blade. And most of you were here last month when I taught the sushi bowl. And I heard that some of you made the sushi bowl. Did anybody else try making an egg roll bowl or a sushi bowl? And how did that go?
Delicious. Yeah. Way too much, but delicious. For 2 people.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Heidi made some for girls' camp. And the sushi bowls, they really loved that. All right, so I used it and I sliced it really thin at an angle. And what I'm doing is I never peel it because when I stir fry it, if there are any germs on it, it's gonna be dead. Because I'm gonna put it in the oil and it's just gonna be dead. And then I use my knife, the same old trusty dusty little knife. And what I've done is I've exposed all the oil so you can even see the ginger juice on my knife because I hit it. So I've exposed all that. And then it's just like a chef's knife. And you can do this with any knife really, but since I'm Chinese, I'm going to show you how we do it. Okay? So I just take it. Now when I'm ready to use it, I'll just use this and lift it and dump it into my wok. Yep, or you can buy, this little thing does the same thing. If you have this in your kitchen, after you chop, you can just take it and lift it. So if you didn't have a Chinese knife, that would. Yeah. Or I think I bought it at a kitchen store for $10. Right? Okay, and then, huh?
Whatever works.
Yeah. If you're like me, you're a sucker. Just go into those places and buy all the stuff you don't need. And then I showed you last month about using garlic. Lately, the garlic I purchased is just so tiny, it just makes me crazy.
Go to farmer's market.
Okay, I like the big cloves because it's less to mess with. So the trick to preparing your garlic is to not use a paring knife. You use a broad blade knife, or I think you could use your chef's knife and just hit it. But I take my knife and I just go, and all the things just fall off. The little paper skins. Wasn't that wonderful? That's a good trick to know, because otherwise you could spend half your time just trying to peel it with your little paring knife.
Or the spoon works good to peel. Oh, you're doing garlic, sorry.
Oh,
Ginger.
yeah, the spoon works good to peel ginger, but remember, I don't peel ginger, because I'm gonna cook it to death. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with my ginger. I'm gonna take my broad blade knife and I'm gonna smash it. Now the trick to stir frying is actually seasoning your oil with flavor. So anytime I stir fry, I always use fresh ginger and fresh garlic. I know a lot of people who use the bottled kind, and I really don't know how to use that, and I really don't know how it tastes because I don't use that. But what you want to do is you want to flavor your oil when you're stir frying so that it envelops all the things that you're stir frying. So sometimes they'll say like, use a half a teaspoon of oil. Well, that's silly. If you're gonna stir fry, you wanna use a couple of tablespoons of oil because you want to introduce all that flavor into your food. Alright? So I use canola oil or some kind of a monosaturated oil that's one thing that's made out of one vegetable because it's less fattening than a multi. What was that? Mazola or there's some kind that's
Rim.
it's just all kinds of oil.
But it'll say on the, has to
Yeah.
say on the.
Yeah, so really if you use corn oil or peanut oil or canola or something like that, you're better off than one that has a blend of a bunch of vegetables.
So you're talking about Bertolli,
Yep.
not to use that.
I think olive oil is, you can use olive oil too. But you don't have to because it's expensive.
Turn it off.
Okay, very good.
Is it done? I mean, is that?
Yes, it'll
okay,
be,
all right.
it'll be fine.
That's good.
So that's my show off with the knife. But it works just really well. So the next thing I'm gonna show off, I guess, and this is crucial because, and I've even drawn you a picture of it on the back. The grain line. If you do not know about grain lines, you have been, well, and I think that my problem is I'm spoiled because I've always, my mom taught me how to do this, so some people go and eat and they cut their meat and they eat it and they don't care if they have to chew it for 30 minutes, because that's the way they've always eaten it. But since I've grown up and I've always cut against the grain, I expect my stir fries meat to be very tender. So this is tri-tip. I tried to buy expensive flank steak because flank steak has this wonderful grain line that you can see, but when I went to Winco, this tri-tip also had this beautiful grain line. So I thought, there you go. See this line? So in between all these stripes is collagen or connective tissue. And as soon as you put heat to connective tissue, it cooks it and it tightens up. So if you cut your meat like this, then all you're gonna have are long, stringy pieces of connective tissue. But if you cut across the grain, then you have actually cut all of the connective tissue so that when you cook it, it doesn't have to it's not gonna shrink up and cause, your meats to be tough. So this will be an interesting tri-tip. I've never stir-fried with tri-tip. A lot of times when you buy chuck steaks and stuff, if you look, the grain line goes up and down like this. So when you're cutting something like that for your stir-fry, you want to take it and lay it on its side and cut it. So just get used to looking for a grain line. Chicken is no big deal. It's a tender thing, but you can see the grain line on chicken really easily. But you'll notice that it makes a huge difference in how you eat. So I'm just gonna take and I'm gonna slice across the grain line and you just look at it. It's totally, see how this connective tissue is, it's pretty loose already. So when I cook it, it's not gonna tighten up in long strings. So with this knife, I am taking this knife and I'm using my fingers as a guide. I want to make it perpendicular or even more of an angle on the inside, because once I do this, then I cut my fingernails off. If I'm lucky, that's all I cut off. But I usually cut my fingers too.
Talk about sharpness of knives.
Yeah.
Your knife has to be sharp to do this stuff. It can't be 7 saws through for one cut. It has to be one cut and done.
Because you'll quit. If you have to slice meat this thin and you have a butter knife, you won't do it because it will not be successful. Your meat will never be narrow. Huh?
I cut mine when it's a little bit frozen, I'll freeze it.
Yep, yep. So if it's frozen, let it thaw out till it's just about thawed out. And then it isn't jiggly like this, because this, see right now where it's not frozen at all. Yeah, so that works good too. And I can usually cut a little faster than this, but once again, yeah. We'd have to start over if I had blood on this. Can you just give me a plain plate? Or something flat? I'm gonna cut 3 different piles of meat. One for the chow yuke, one for the green beans, and one for the ramen stir fry. Yeah, that'll work. So let's use this one for the ramen stir fry.
And how do you need another one?
No, I'm just gonna make it into 3 piles.
Okay.
So for my ramen stir fry, I'm gonna take this little package of pork. So if I'm using beef, I might wanna buy beef ramen noodles, but it doesn't really matter. It's gonna make it taste.
It won't matter to use the pork on it.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna sprinkle this.
Oh, the ramen noodle. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, and I'm just gonna let it sit there so that it can absorb the flavor.
Okay.
Now, how simple is that? Did you have to measure anything? No. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut some beef for the green beans. Same thing, cut across the grain. And this is the perfect kind of dish to use when you only have 1 pork chop left, you know, or one piece of meat and 6 people eating dinner. Because you just cut it up, and whether you have just a couple of slices of meat in it or tons, people will eat whatever you serve them. So it goes a long ways, and it's a lot more economical. I can't believe the price of beef right now.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
Suzanne, you guys, if you want to do tri-tip, you can buy a tri-tip roast, and it will come out just like a pennant shape. It's really thick in here, and then it tapers on this end, and it's about that big. Go home and cut it into steaks yourself. Just lay it out and cut across the grain like she's showing you in bigger chunks, and then you lay that up to cook it. But you're not paying somebody the labor cost of cutting those steaks, because usually a roast is 50 cents to 75 cents cheaper per pound than the pieces that are already cut up. So, and it's easy. And I mean, if you flub it up, you know, you're not out much. You can always chew on it longer.
So this tri-tip was $5.98 a pound, whereas like the best kind to use is rib steak, of course. It's like $11.88 a pound. However, if you're doing a birthday dinner and you want it to be really special, you could buy 1 rib steak, stir fry it for everybody, and be really happy. So, but this big chunk of tri-tip that I got that looks just exactly like she described was only $13. But I could probably make 3 or 4 meals with it. Any questions so far about the grain line or any of that?
Where do you get those knives?
Amazon. And we were saying that you don't have to, don't splurge and say, oh, I gotta get a nice one that costs $50. Just buy the one that's $20 or $25. But what you wanna do is, if they have a description, you kinda want one where the tang goes clear through. Because if you have just a plain handle, see, I'm kind of scared about that meat cleaver because it looks like it goes clear through, but I really don't know. Because I did have a fake one once that I could see the metal go clear through the end, and then when I was chopping something once, it actually fell apart. So, but I have spent a lot of money on knives because I figured for all that I cook, you want to have something that you can sharpen and that works really well. So now let's talk a little bit about stir fry sauce. So I don't know what I did on this menu. I had this little thing, I can't remember what I wrote down, but usually when I show people how to cook, it's like, okay, add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a tablespoon of oyster sauce, blah, 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 blah. And every batch I make tastes different. Because I might have used 5 tablespoons of oyster sauce and 2 teaspoons of sugar. So I decided when I started teaching stir fry to come up with the stir fry sauce. So here is the stir fry sauce that's called the savory stir fry sauce. And the recipe made this much. I would suggest that you make a lot less unless, this is a good time of the year to make a lot. Because you can stir fry a lot with all your yummy things from your vegetable garden. But, so you could keep this in the fridge. It has soy sauce, oyster sauce, which you can buy at Winco, most of ginger, sugar, vinegar, and pepper, and garlic and onion, and garlic and ginger. Yeah, ginger, crushed up ginger. So it really doesn't have anything that really dies. And salt is a cure, right? And if you want to have something really salty, just drink soy sauce. I always tell you, don't use soy sauce if you're on a low sodium diet. So I think this is stay in the fridge, in a cold fridge for a couple of months easily. Or you could always just pour it off and put it in the freezer, and then when you're ready to use it again, Suze.
What is an oyster sauce?
Oh, it's in a box.
I should have brought mine. I meant to bring it
Call it oyster sauce.
because it's made out of oysters. But you think it sounds so horrible, but that is the umami, the delicious taste in Thai food, Chinese food, all kinds of foods. And it doesn't taste fishy.
So when do you use, what's the difference? When do you use one over the other one? The sweet stir fry and the savory stir fry?
So I just say make them and then taste it and see which one you like. I left my Yoshida sauce in the car. So Yoshida sauce is also a stir fry sauce. It's more along the teriyaki side. Doesn't have preservatives or any of that. If you like that, you just buy Yoshida sauce. Or Kikkoman makes a whole line of stir fry sauces. And the difference is, of course, it's going to contain your xanthan gum.
Which thickens it.
Preservative.
Yeah, but it's really not bad.
No, it isn't.
Anyway, as soon as you open it, you want to put it in the fridge. So just depending on what you want to do, it's no biggie. But when I teach stir frying for myself, it was better to just come up with something that had some exact measurements. Then if you like it sweeter, add more sugar. If you like it more salty, add less sugar. If you like it however, you change it to however you like. That's the beauty of a menu, of a recipe, is to just, you make it like it tells you to the first time, and then you alter it to how you like it after that. So, another thing you want to do is, right after you cut your meat, is you want to take some of that stir fry sauce, because I used to just take a little oyster sauce, blup, blup, a little soy sauce, blup, blup, and then marinate it like that. And every time I make it, it tastes different. And your vegetables taste different too. It's like if you have a really good batch of tomatoes and it's out of the garden, it'll be the best stir fry you ever had. And then it's winter time and you go to the store and you buy some cardboard pretend tomatoes. and it just won't have the same taste. So your vegetables make a huge difference on how things taste when you're done. So I just poured some of the stir fry sauce as the marinade. Excuse me while I wash my hands.
Oh, oh.
Has a great aroma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so nice. All right, now the thing that took a long time today was, of course, the chopping and the cutting and the prepping. We're gonna do the cooking now, and it's gonna go really fast. Okay, so here's my little wok. I brought 2 woks today. Then we don't have to worry about washing in between. And I brought my induction cooker, which I love. I bought that from Amazon too because I can take my stove with me. Because it's hard when you're demonstrating, if you're over here, people can't see.
Requires a hand truck.
Yeah, and the mirror isn't right, blah, blah, blah. And so there have been times when I have 2 of these that when I demonstrate, I take 2 induction cookers. Okay, and then I just turn it on, and I use the temperature instead of the automatic. There's just buttons, you'll learn how to do that. And then I turn it high. I always like everything high. So the first thing, green beans with curry paste. So this might be dangerous, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Because the curry paste can make your eyes burn. But the good thing that you can do with it is I'm gonna add it at the end rather than at the beginning. Because when I cook it at home, I put the oil, pretend like it's a chicken and zucchini stir fry. So I'm really not, I'm just using vegetables and meat. And then I'm gonna use this curry as the seasoning. Because I wanted you to try something different.
It's not on there.
Okay.
The chicken and zucchini, just pretend like it's the chicken, if you have to have something to look at. It's similar to that. Okay, so here's this delicious curry paste. Usually what I do is I heat up the oil, then I put the curry paste in, and then everybody has to leave the house except for me. Yeah, and then we always have babies in our house, and that's just a dumb thing to do. So today, I'm going to add the curry sauce at the end. So you can see my wok is heating up, right? And I'm putting a necklace of oil around my pan. I want that to heat up. And the advantage to having a wok is that you don't have the edges, so that when I'm stir frying like this, I'm not hitting the edge and then having everything fly up. But you don't have to. The heat is at the very bottom. If you get scared and something needs to quit, you can kind of shove it up on the side. It works really good in a restaurant because they're that big and you can shove a lot of stuff on the side. But it still helps. So I'm going to take some of this, now smell this. As I'm heating up the
ginger and
the,
garlic.
You want that to turn out?
oh, I need that thing. Okay, I'm just going to brown it. Then I'm going to add some of my meat. So you read that stir fry, you think all you keep doing is just going over and over. Well, you can let it sit in your pan for just a minute so it has a chance to brown a bit. But the point is you want to take it and you want to cover your meat with that seasoned oil. Is that yummy? And the meat's already been marinating in my stir fry sauce. And when I do beef, I just barely cook it till it's like medium rare, or hardly at all. Depends on how you like it.
So did you blanch the carrots too?
No,
Just the beans?
just the beans.
Okay.
Because the carrots, I want them to be crunchy. I want that, the contrast. See, so look how pretty that looks. Once I blanched it, the green beans just look so pretty.
How long did you blanch them for?
I do it into boiling water and probably 2 minutes.
So where'd you find the green beans?
And I only like the green beans at Costco that cost $6.99 for a 2-pound bag.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because I buy a lot of times when I buy it at Fred Meyer's and stuff, I do all that and then the beans are tough and chewy and I hate that.
or sideways. We bought 2 pounds of green beans at Joel did, of green beans, and every bite had little tiny fibers in the
Yeah.
skin.
So you had to actually take the beans and, well, who has time for that?
Yeah.
I don't. So I buy the ones in the produce part in Costco for $6.99.
Well, you can probably get them at the farmer's market this time of year. too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used to, it used to be $4.99.
Yeah.
Now
Everything
it's-
used to be.
Yeah, now it's $6.99. Okay, so then I'm just gonna take this cute little thing right here and try and find my little spoon that I took out somewhere. Huh? Yeah, just give me a spoon. Thank you,
So
Bella.
no onions in that?
Huh?
No onions in that?
There's some
Well,
onions.
there's onions.
So it's a good whatever you have around the house,
Always
in your
have
kitchen,
kids.
put it
Really
in.
a solid.
Please.
It's big.
Mhm.
She's looking at how hot.
Good thing you got glasses on, huh?
Now it's like, how much do I really want to put in for you guys? You look kind of wimpy. So that's all. Yeah, that's all I'm putting in.
Yeah, we look white, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
No, it doesn't matter what color you are. Your tongues look weird. Your tongues look like they're virgins.
So now, if you want to, would you ever put any more of the marinara sauce in that? Like, say,
You
if
could.
you want?
But you don't have to.
Yeah,
Or you
so
could-
is that done?
Uh-huh. It's done.
Wow, beautiful.
Okay, let me taste that. I would want a lot more.
So would your boys.
Huh?
So would your boys.
Everybody.
You got your husband to eat at that house?
Yeah, he went to Thailand on a mission.
Oh, that's
So how beautiful is this dish? Watch. So with that little bit, I might normally add a little salt. It kind of,
Get the dog in. Where's the dog?
how's that look, guys? Here.
Great. Are you gonna use it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm doing the same thing. I'm heating up my wok and I'm gonna make the chow yuke. The beef, green pepper, and tomato. I love chow yuke. And I especially love it this time of the year with my fresh tomatoes. Although our tomatoes are not that happy this year.
You know, they're not growing anywhere. They blossom, but then there's no beautiful red.
It's a sad story because, you know, I read a lot of political stuff on the president making it so that we can't access any of this kind of stuff, but just look around. stuff is not growing. We don't have people that are making the items, and so we're just in a tough, we're gonna get worse before we get better, right? Okay, so I'm doing the same thing, just heating on it. Okay, so I'm gonna need, oh, I got a bowl right there. So what I do with the beef stir fry is I'm gonna cook the beef, but then I'm gonna take the beef out and then stir fry the vegetables separately because it takes a little longer to cook and I don't want my meat to be all awful. Plus I like the meat juices, the stuff that's left over. I like that in my, around my vegetables as it's cooking, because it loosens up and. Smell good? Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far?
For some of us who are diabetic, is there a substitute for brown sugar?
You can substitute brown sugar or not use it at all. My,
Would stevia work as a substitute?
I think so. My mom always just told me that you always use just a pinch of sugar because it brings out the flavor, so I do what my mommy tells me because it's always right.
That's good.
Yeah. My mommy's 90.
She's still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
She's 90.
Hmm?
Upstairs part's going better, downstairs part's
You know, my mom was a home ec specialist too, and she cooked unbelievably well. She didn't teach us as much, but I learned quite a bit. And one of my favorite things is grapefruit. At Christmas time, when we always had grapefruit, she cut them in half and section, and then put a tiny bit of brown sugar and broil it and cherry in the middle. That is to die for. Brown sugar and what? Brown sugar and cherry in the center. Oh my goodness. It looks beautiful and they taste good. I mean, not like grapefruit plain, but that is a sweet.
Okay, so the beef, green pepper, and tomato chow Yuke only needs to have beef and green peppers, right?
Yeah.
And tomatoes. You could also order, back in the day when the Shanghai was open, you could order beef chow Yuke or tomato chow Yuke. You know, it wouldn't have all that other stuff. My kids hate celery. I love celery, so I always add celery, onions, and I just like the carrots for the color. So I'm just gonna stir fry that for a minute to kind of get that flavor going in there.
So the noodle is under this, that you serve it with rice. You
I
don't serve it
serve this-
over rice, just with rice.
Or whatever. You're totally welcome to do whatever you want. Okay, so I've stirred it around. I've got some of the seasoning from my pan. Stir fry sauce. Who knows how much I'm gonna use? Enough. A blob or two.
So Susie, that must be a young person thing, because my daughter will not have the celery in her stir fry.
Yeah, I love buffalo chicken wings just for the 2 or 3 pieces of celery they give me. So you add the liquid and then you just put the lid on it.
Okay, did you add cornstarch or is it in your?
No, I'm gonna add the cornstarch in just a minute.
Okay.
So I brought this lid this time. So just let it cook for a couple minutes so it has a chance to become tender crisp and not raw. I was gonna show you this other quick kitchen thing that I buy.
Amazon?
I think I bought this in Canada.
So,
Oh.
And it cost way too much because it was in a gift store, but it's the first time I'd ever seen it. And I have a smaller one that's green. It's so wonderful because you just throw it on top of your pan and you don't have to dig in your drawer looking for the lid that fits. So you just take it and whatever you're cooking, you just, and let it boil, blah, 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 and then when you're done. So it is very helpful because I have 1,000 lids for all of my pans and I never know which one goes where, right?
And my new house is a mess, but you have to
Still
stack
don't.
'em.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna use some cornstarch in here. Oh, there's my spoon.
Here's your spoon. Well, I saw you got it out.
Yeah.
But I just didn't see where it was hiding.
So it's probably about 3 tablespoons to a cup of water. Approximately.
That's right.
That's kind of how you cook, right?
Yep.
That's why I don't bake, because I don't like to measure.
When baking's a science and you don't measure, stuff doesn't turn out.
Right, so
Baking,
that's why I'm not gonna ever bake. Only when I come to this class, I'll bake the one thing, like cinnamon rolls. Yeah. That little ball thing is really nice. It's just- So now I think it might be tender crisp. And you can add as much water and cornstarch as you want. This is the ideal thing to cook, and this is where I'd add a tablespoon of my better than bouillon or some kind of a
Okay,
beef
okay.
base. Wouldn't that just really add the flavor?
Yeah.
So if you add lots of liquid, then all of the vitamins that are in your vegetables, you pour it over the rice and the kids eat it all. Because it's delicious. And they've just, even if they don't eat the vegetables, they've eaten all of the vitamins from the vegetables. And if you want to, you can use chicken broth or any of that stuff, but I don't think you need to. Umami.
Because that's what umami means, is just flavor.
Flavor, earthy flavor. See, so you can see where it makes this beautiful, rich gravy. So when you're ready to serve, you just take it, add your meat with all of that delicious, and then you add your tomatoes at the very last. Because if you added it at the first, it'll all disappear. I bet you guys are hungry, huh?
It smells wonderful.
And if I were making this for my family, a couple of jalapenos. No, it's so good. You really want it. You really want
You just
it.
did the fresh jalapenos.
Yep, just chop it up in there.
You mean the yellow
I mean, the red ones. Okay. We'll eat that. Look how beautiful.
Oh,
That's gorgeous.
Ah.
beautiful.
See, it's not olive green because you've overcooked it or any of that.
That is just lovely.
So, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Szechuan. Is Szechuan the hottest, or does
Szechuan's the hottest.
Szechuan's on?
But all the different Chinese have things that are similar but different. So if I were to eat a hot Cantonese, it would be different than a hot
Szechuan.
Szechuan. Okay, so now I'm heating up this one and we're gonna do our last dish. Which is, I was gonna put zucchini, I'm gonna still put zucchini in here. I cut it really thick because I like my zucchini not to turn to mush. So I have this feeling that by the time we're ready to eat it, it will be just perfect. I probably should have cut it a little thinner for this method, but that's okay. Okay.
I'll count them. Get your hands out of there, Karen.
Don't forget your soda.
I was thinking that as you were oiling that.
Huh?
I was thinking about the sodas and things. So, when I was adding the extra oil to those noodles, it seems like I was just putting a lot, but the spout on that thing is minute. I mean, it doesn't really
Yeah.
spread out a lot.
So what's this one?
This one is the ramen noodle stir fry.
Okay.
Which would be Cantonese style, right?
Cantonese style noodles.
No,
I'm turning this back on.
so are you Cantonese or Mandarin?
I'm Cantonese.
You're Cantonese, both your parents are Cantonese.
Yeah.
Because my sister-in-law, her mom is Mandarin and her dad's Cantonese.
Yeah, the Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese.
Yeah, our blood's gonna be Chinese.
Yeah, different areas.
So this is the one that I marinated in
The ramen noodles.
did you hand me that, that stir thing? This video is not gonna have the cooker in it, the demonstrator, he's always over there. So I'm just using the same technique, I didn't add ginger and onions, you could. If I were using chicken and pork, I would cook it all the way. Okay, I'm gonna add some vegetables and then,
Is that not the crunchy brown chestnut?
yeah, this one has chestnut.
Yeah. that's
It's
what
a
I-
beautiful blend, I'll tell you.
Pasta.
Yep, Costco's in the frozen. Then I'm just gonna add
Mom and packets.
my ramen packet.
Alright.
So this is high sodium as well. So I'm gonna put the lid on it so the vegetables can thaw out.
When I walk home, I'm getting back in the house, Joel's gonna go, you smell good. I said, well, I invited you.
Suzanne, do you want to put those in the freezer?
Sure.
We can do that. So they don't.
I'm just getting that out of the way so we can
Yep.
serve our food here.
Now, okay, Suzie, you're in charge of helping her remember.
Jean, Peter Bean will too.
That's fair.
This-
Oh, we gotta get plates and stuff.
Yeah, this looks a lot better than last time. Cause last time we chopped,
Yeah.
and that made it really bad. Alright, that was it, stir fry in
Alright.
45 minutes.
Wow.
And that's showing you techniques and other stuff, so we made three dishes in 45 minutes. But it did take me a half an hour to 40 minutes at home to chop everything.
Oh, you wanna use your spoon for that?
It's like ripping eggs, and they can get chicken wings.
See how the,
Just the egg and first build it, so you have like, it's not sushi.
Yeah,
That was
I
good.
know. I love this kind of soup. Big flour.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, when they serve the sushi,
I would have a big bowl and I would mix all the vegetables and stuff together, but you want to eat it quick because it's icky when it absorbs all the.
I don't know, ask Suzanne what she wants.
Do you want a big fork or just a spoon for the
For the what?
noodles? Cause the
Um,
fork or spoon?
Yeah, big fork or tongs.
Oh, okay.
Lungs are down here.
Chop chop. In China, we say chop chop.
Okay. Do you want this over there?
Yeah. You have something to put it on. Yeah.
All I need to do is find a corner.
Okay, so you got a spoon for that? You wanna put in that?
Yep.
And a spoon in that one?
Yep.
Okay.
The zucchini's pretty raw, so it's okay. If you don't like it raw, then just
Don't
don't eat
pick it
it.
up.
No, but you could. Yeah, you could. Or you could add more liquid to it too, right?
Suzanne has broccoli and beans and peas and carrots and water chestnut and red chestnuts. Red peppers.
Yeah.
Red peppers and
Yeah.
what's the yellow? Pepper?
Looks like a carrot.
Yeah,
That's
yellow
carrots.
These look like yellow carrots.
Okay, yellow carrot, okay.
Okay, my loves, we got food.
You're gonna look on the sack?
Yeah, it's on the back side. Okay, in this, it's got broccoli, sugar snap peas, green beans, orange carrots, yellow carrots, mushroom, bell pepper, red, and water chestnuts and onion.
Wonderful. Why don't we put the rice, Karen, can you put the rice at this end and then we can just have a little bit of rice?
Hey. Oh, yes, I had it. I had it right the first time. Okay.
Okay, so this is really lunch.
Did you want to put it back in the fry pan?
So much for our snack, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, have at it.
Well, I'm not proud.